Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably guys should already know me at this point. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario vs Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis for the Nintendo DS. So last time we've completed by default within the first floor in the game, which takes place in Mushroom Mayhem. Now despite it did say ground floor, but that's because the reason why is because it's the European version, because again, if you play the American version and the Japanese version, it did say floor 1, because as far as I'm aware, when it comes to the next world we're going to be hop into right now, which appears to be floor 1 in the European version, and the American and Japanese version it was floor 2, because as far as I'm aware about the fact that today, we're going to be heading on to the next world in the game, which appears to be Tropical Turmoil. So either way though, it's like a beach tropical setting. So either way though, let's get this thing to it. So either way though, something's worth noting for is about the fact that, as you can tell, that we're now able to actually start to come across into ourselves these colored switches. And basically, similar to the forms of how it does it in the first Mario vs Donkey Kong game, basically, depending on what switch you activate, some things will happen. Like, for instance, if I somehow manage to activate the red switch right there, and basically, the red door to somehow shut. So because of this though, we need to figure out ourselves to able to actually do an alternative way to, like, get certain items and stuff like that, even though this particular level is actually overall pretty easy, especially because there's not much enemies around. But then until later on though, we will come across into enemy encounters. So either way though, chances are pretty self-explanatory for this particular stage. So and also, as you see that particular shine sprite on the background, as you can tell, which is actually a nice throwback to the likes of Super Mario Sunshine and stuff like that. Speaking of Sunshine though, is about the fact that I'm happy to report that the weather condition is actually getting a bit better at this point. So, thank God, no need to deal with the false that terrible rainy weather all of a sudden. So either way, apart from a couple of rare occasions that we might come across into ourselves, pretty bad weather conditions these days. So either way, so here we go on to the second level in the forms of this particular world. So, and in some cases though, it's about the fact that we just need to able to block the actual, the Piranha Plant's fireballs alongside with himself. So just in case we don't want to able to destroy the mini Marios, because unlike the future games in the series, basically you die instantly and you get a game over. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, well, assuming of course about the fact that, well, if you really want to go for a full 100% completion of this particular game, you must be sure you need to be able to get every single mini Marios alive in every level in the game. So because of this though, if you're sure enough, if you manage to able to actually just to realize that if you accidentally destroyed one of them, either from the likes of, you know, getting hit by enemies, or in some cases fall damage as a result, and on top of that, spikes you have to avoid, and all that stuff. So as a result though, that if you accidentally let one of those mini Marios get destroyed, and if you let the other two mini Marios get in a goal, basically it did say you'll get 2 out of 3 mini Marios in the actual stage completion, as opposed to Mario saying, way to go, and all that stuff though. So either way though, because chances are, yeah, you have to do a lot of perfection when it comes to likely doing with all kinds of stuff like this. So, and speaking of such, here we go with the forms of the third level, and now we come across into ourselves not only those bloopers, but also we get ourselves to returning Golden Mario, or Golden Mini Mario as far as I'm aware. I keep thinking about the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as far as I'm aware. Oh yeah, speaking of such though, it's about the fact that as far as what Tiana, she's already mentioned about this, ever since in her Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, as far as I'm aware, recently about the fact that we actually got ourselves a new tour coming up for the sake of the forms of Mario Kart Tour, until specifically this upcoming Wednesday, specifically on the 3rd of May. And as a result, it turns out she was right, because as a result, she did predict it that the Bowser Tour is going to take place. And as far as I'm aware, the amount of content they've got during the forms within a Bowser Tour, and I'm sure that we'll probably expect what's going to contain, Now, it's pretty obvious about the fact that it obviously contains 4 of those Mii racing suits, which is quite insane compared to the forms of how it does in the previous tours when it comes to likely getting those Mii racing suits in mind. Although I'll talk more details about this in a moment, because here we have the warp pipes, and basically in order able to get into those warp pipes, well, assuming of course depending on where they're positioning from, so as a result, if it's on the ground, you have to flick the stylus downwards, and then if you try to jump onto the pipe, you have to flick the stylus upwards. So as a result, that might actually get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to traversing through pipes and such. Whilst compared to the future games in the series, basically they just go to the pipes automatically. So as a result, yeah, that's something worth noting for. Anywho, so today's day is of course the 30th of April today, in this case, the final day of April. So because of this though, although what I meant to say is the fact that, well, it's obviously today it's the 30th of April today, in this case in 2023 today. And as I said before, it's about the fact that we're now on the final day of April before we move on to May. So either way though, and we're getting very close to the point that we've almost had summer season. So either way though, because chances are, still looking forward to see the summer season again after the events of last year and stuff like that. So either way though, there goes my gold star right there, which is always a super top-notch run. So anyway, now let's move on to floor 1, room 5, and oh jeez, this might actually feel a bit complicated at first, because I think something tells me with this particular crab right there, it just gets in the way. So we do need to figure out the actual method to able to actually bypass this particular crab-like enemy. So either way though, even though it might take some time to get used to with this, especially that I'm obviously going to be able to actually utilize the directional pad to able to maneuver around the actual stage layout, or to be more specifically with the actual camera view for the entire stage itself. So either way, yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's about the fact that, well, as I mentioned this before, that we're about to be getting 4 Mii racing suits during the forms of the Bowser Tour from the likes of Mario Kart Tour, which are, of course, it will have to be Larry, as well as Iggy, Roy, and finally Ludwig. So because of this though, cool selections as far as this is concerned. The only missing exceptions are Molten Cooper Jr., as well as the forms of Wendy, and potentially with the forms of Lemmy Cooper Mii racing suits when it comes to like Koopaling based Mii racing suits in mind. And as far as I'm aware, they do have special items, like for instance, Larry Mii racing suit contains the Burrowing Flower, so I guess that's alright, I guess. And as far as I'm aware, Iggy Mii racing suit contains triple green shells, which I think is actually pretty good. And as far as I'm aware, Roy Mii racing suit contains double bombs. Okay, that's actually a good item choice. However though, for Ludwig though, similar to the forms of Ludwig himself, I could assure you the special item, it contains the dash ring. So I was not expecting to see how that item's gonna be the case. So as you can see, in the forms of in room 6, as you can see, we now come across into ourselves the question mark block, and what it contains inside it is one of those power-ups. To be more specifically, the only power-up in this entire game, which appears to be the Fire Flower. So meaning that Mini Mario can actually turn into a Fire Flower as a transformation temporarily power-up, which similar to the forms of how it does it in Super Mario Galaxy, and especially noticeable with Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well. It only lasted for about a few seconds until you pick it up again, so that might be some consumption. And also that the Fire Mini Mario can automatically fire the fireballs automatically, so every time when they move along and all that stuff though, so yeah, I guess it's that. So, and what you can use that for is to able to not only destroy certain enemies, but also you can able to temporarily stun them for a few seconds. So, yeah, I guess that maybe seems the case. So, anywho, so in terms of the forms of the cards content when it comes to the Bowser Tour coming up, and that will have to be by the forms of Dry Bones Dasher, okay, that's interesting, and also a red and black variant of the Jingle Bells, okay, I've never actually heard about this before, And finally, Gold Pirate Sushi Racer. Alright, that seems kind of legitimate. So I'm sure enough they were able to actually bring the later names for it and during at some point on, in Wednesday the 3rd of May, basically. So, now unfortunately though, since about the fact that I could assure you, I think that will actually be the last tour at the moment, that I've somehow managed able to equip my, Gold Pass subscription for it, at least for right now. So either way though, although I can still able to actually guarantee to get myself better rewards and stuff like that, but I highly doubt, I don't know if I can able to actually guarantee to like, well, keep the actual Gold Pass subscription for it until the next tour coming up, until specifically in mid-May. And also, what I found was kind of surprising, and especially is kind of a good thing in my opinion, is that we've never come across into a Team Rally tour just yet, for the sake of the forms of this year so far, which I will must say, I appreciate about that, because let me tell you, I am not a big fan of the forms of the Team Rally system, just because it's all, not only because it's all about, like, luck-based, but it's also about the fact I found it kind of frustrating if you think your team is winning, but you can't guarantee if who's going to be winning, so it's all determined on luck for me. So, yeah, that's essentially is the reason why I'm not a big fan of those Team Rally systems anymore, because it just fails a bit. Although it's fine at first, but then after a while though, it just gets a bit tedious as far as that's concerned with, at least to me. Anyway, so in terms of gliders though, they're able to actually bring Roy Oil Paper Umbrella. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And finally, Gold Manta Glider. So I guess that's about it basically. Now in terms of tracks though, aside from the fact that as far as what Tiana she's already mentioned about, that obviously they'll bring back the forms of Bowser Castle 3, based off from the likes of Super Mario Kart, which I'm really hoping that track will obviously make its return until likely for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, for specifically in Wave 5. I'm hoping so anyway, because as far as what I've seen, the actual, like, the aesthetics about the whole thing, it looks so much more the improvement over the likes of how it does it ever since in, let's just say, in the original version, alongside with the forms of Super Circuit variant, because as far as I'm aware, I'm very impressed of how the fact that everything else is now in 3D, as opposed to its flat surfaces, and also because of the forms of the elevation, there's actually a lot more of a depth to it. So either way though, I'm very excited able to try out, Bowser Castle 3 from the likes of Super Mario Kart returning onto Mario Kart Tour, despite having to deal with the forms of the bad controls again. So, and also they're obviously going to bring back remix Bowser's Castle 1 again. So I guess that makes a bit of sense, because obviously we're going to be approaching onto the Bowser Tour and stuff like that. And one thing that Tiana has completely forgotten to mention about, that something it caught me off guard, whenever I first saw it coming, is that out of nowhere, we're about to be getting the 4th and the final installment of the Bowser Castle GBA tracks coming back onto Mario Kart Tour. And as it turns out, we're about to be getting GBA Bowser Castle 4 out of nowhere, or Bowser's Castle 4 to be more specifically. So yeah, I was not seeing that coming, especially concerning about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, I think that was the only Bowser's Castle track that never gets its remade until now, thanks to Mario Kart Tour when it comes to the forms of the actual Bowser Tour kind of thing. So either way though, I'm curious to be able to actually check those out. And as far as other content goes, it's basically unchanged for the sake of the forms of how the fact that there's no new driver variants, aside from the fact that the only drivers you're able to come across into in Spotlight Shop, which are, I would say, Meowser, as well as Bowser Jr. in a pirate outfit. I'm not exactly sure about Kamek though, because I was really hoping to get Kamek, but the only drawback with that is though, is that his special item is obviously the coin box, so I'm not exactly sure how do I usually explain about any of these kind of stuff though, but either way. But yeah, that's what I can really say about this for the most part. I would have liked able to explain more details about the kind of stuff like this though, but I think I'll let some other toy sales were able to mention more about it. Oh, and by the way, since we now moved on to the second mini-game, as you can tell, like, you still need able to score for about 25 points, and every now and then they now start to send us bob-bombs. But if you accidentally touch the bob-bomb, I believe you lose 5 points, so yeah, it's still pretty easy to manage, especially considering about the fact that you can able to instantly manage able to get up to like 25 plus points, no problem. So But again, it gets a bit difficult later on though, especially because they now added in more objects to its disposal and more pipes as a result, so... Alright, it's time for the second Donkey Kong fight, except this time, he's now standing onto a spiked platform, and it just goes from left to right, basically. And all you have to do to deal the damage on Donkey Kong is that, well, we get able to fire the Mini Marios right on top of the forms of the coconut plum tree. And that way, you can able to let the coconut fell into Donkey Kong. But if you accidentally manage to fire the Mini Mario right onto the spikes underneath Donkey Kong, basically though, it counts as a death. So either way though, and also you have to watch out for those bananas that Donkey Kong is going to be doing like, go, go. Oh, and also I did not realize that you can also just somehow manage to attack him while you simply bounce onto the wall and such, which I think is actually pretty cool to able to actually just to learn that move. But either way, when you get the hang of it though, it's actually not too bad. And that pretty much does it for the likes of the forms of tropical turmoil, or turmoil, as far as I meant to say. Because as far as I'm aware, that this world is kind of easy at first glance, but some levels are feel a bit puzzled to me. So either way, once you're completely done with this world, we're able to get ourselves some more construction parts in a construction zone, which again I'll show this off in a later video. So with that being said though, we got the endings off here, so join me next time for more Let's Play of Mario vs Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis. Instead we'll move on to floor 2, which is Pipeworks. So I'll see you guys until next Saturday. Later fellas.